Welcome to the Vanguard Watch. You know, sometimes science stumbles forward by accident. Imagine a quiet revolt growing inside government labs and clinics across the US, where old rules about diet are starting to crack. One twist might flip everything most people assumed was true. Think of breakfast cereal, sandwich bread, even fruit juice. Suddenly, not so innocent. Now imagine officials admitting past guidance missed the mark, not slightly off, but way wrong. That idea hits harder than expected. Decades built on certain beliefs, now under real pressure. Who saw that coming? Feels odd, yet makes sense once you look closer. Here's the real puzzle behind the huge shift in national food advice. Understanding this change means stepping back into the past. What comes next only makes sense when seen against what came before. Decades shaped how Americans eat, guided by familiar rules. That old system is exactly what today's update challenges. For years, the advice was pretty simple, right? Limit your fat, especially saturated fat, and build everything on a base of grains. That was the bottom of the good old food pyramid. Here's what happened. Experts today argue that push for low-fat eating meant to boost health backfired badly. That shift steered people straight toward meals packed with sugary grains and heavily altered ingredients. And, well, the results, they kind of speak for themselves. A whopping 70% of American adults are now overweight or obese. The new administration is looking at that number and saying, see, that's proof. They're connecting the dots directly between those old guidelines and this massive health crisis, which has sent our healthcare costs into the stratosphere. So, flash forward to January 7th, 2026. The government doesn't just, gently suggest a change. No, they straight up declare a rebellion against the way things have been. And they have one major enemy in their crosshairs: sugar. This was the first shot fired, a really clear, really powerful statement from the new health secretary. He's not just saying processed foods and sugar are kind of bad for you, he's framing them as a direct threat to the country. The health secretary is basically declaring war on the entire modern food industry. The new policy is taking direct aim at, pretty much everything in the modern industrial diet. We're talking highly processed foods, those refined carbs, all the added sugars. The administration says these are the things driving America's health problems. Okay, so what does this new food world even look like? Now, what should we even be eating? For that, just turn the old food pyramid upside down. Yes, flip it entirely. Meet the inverted version. Not merely a fresh image, but a complete shift from past beliefs. Decades haven't brought such a deep overhaul in how we view nourishment. What counts as healthy eating in the US may never look the same again. Here's how it looks today. At the base, what you eat most is meat, good fats, fruit, veggies. That wide layer shapes everything else. In the middle, you've got dairy, and yeah, that includes full-fat options. And way down at the tiny point at the bottom, grains, the very thing that used to be the foundation. It's a complete reordering of our food priorities. And this quote from the health secretary really just boils it all down, doesn't it? Eat real food. Forget all the complex science and confusing labels for a second. The core message is just super simple. Get back to whole foods and move away from all that industrially processed stuff. Now, this whole thing isn't just about getting healthier, it's being sold as a core economic plan. The logic is pretty straightforward. If we change what we eat and stay clear of long-term illness, then maybe, just maybe, the weight of medical bills starts to go down. Sure, it sounds neat on paper, yet here's where things get messy fast. The new take on fat. The administration is officially ending the war on saturated fats. They're saying the old fear of things like butter and red meat was based on shaky science and just made us eat more sugar. So now, animal fats are back on the table, right alongside olive oil. Funny thing is, big shifts like this always stir up trouble. Right now, voices are clashing hard across labs and journals. What looked like a quiet update turned into something loud, fast. It's a deep, deep divide. A lot of people in the nutrition establishment are, they're horrified. You have experts like Christopher Gardner from Stanford, who was actually on the committee for the last set of guidelines, saying this new pyramid just throws decades of solid peer-reviewed research right out the window. And their worries are pretty specific. Big groups like the American Heart Association are pointing to years and years of evidence that links too much saturated fat with heart disease. Some folks argue the fresh recommendations recklessly promote red meat while overlooking evidence backing plant proteins. That tension captures the heart of the disagreement, right? A major showdown is playing out behind the scenes. On one side, you've got this new guard, a populist health movement that's all about eating real food and fighting corporate influence. And on the other side, you have the old guard, the traditional medical institutions who are just begging everyone to stick to the decades of established science. But it's not quite that simple. The battle lines aren't perfectly clean. You've got some really respected experts like Dr. Dariush Mazavarian, a cardiologist, who actually agree with parts of this new approach. Fat and milk might not be the villain after all. Signs point that way more every day. This man agrees with pushing back against ultra-processed meals. Things aren't so perfectly divided when you look close. So what does this conflict even mean for regular people? Why should we even be concerned about this big clash over what's on our plates? Well, because these guidelines aren't just some friendly suggestions. They literally decide what's served in our kids' schools, what our military members eat, and what's in federal food programs for mothers and infants. This shift could reshape its sits in grocery aisles, what ends up on dinner tables across countless homes. So here's the million-dollar question. Does this move count as a brave leap toward better health for the nation, or a dangerous, reckless experiment with the American diet? One thing is for sure, the great food fight has only just begun.